Bob, tell me a little bit about Dowling in the 1950s. How did you get to school every day? Did you fortunate to get a ride, or were you on the bus, or how did you get there?
No, in the early part of my time at Dowling, my father took us. In the last 2 years, my junior and senior years, I was fortunate enough to have my own car so I could drive. But we lived over on the west side of town out on 58th Street. So it was a pretty good haul, but I'll tell you what, I had 4 of the best years of my life at Dowling. And the thing, it was a great atmosphere. I loved going to an all-boys school. And I'll tell you one thing that helped me a great deal is that as I prepared to go to college, I didn't know where I was going to go. I wanted to be a sports writer. And I actually wanted to come back to work for the Register and Tribune because I worked at the RNT in the summers and the sports desk. And my senior year, I wasn't sure where I wanted to go to school because my mother insisted I go to a Catholic school. And from my English teacher at Dowling was a Father Arthur Ring, and Father Ring suggested that I take a look at Marquette University in Milwaukee. And as it turns out, it was wonderful advice because I had 4 great years at Marquette, and it led me to a lot of nice jobs afterwards. So,
sure.
Dowling, very important in my life, but I had great respect for the priests there, and I had a great time with the athletics and everything. I wouldn't have changed one thing about Dowling, frankly.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
You were a golfer in those days.
Yes, sir, I was. I played on the golf team for 4 years.
And were you? Did you try out for any other sports?
Yeah, I did. I had trouble hitting the fastball. So baseball didn't work too good for me. And so I just played golf. That was about it. I ran a little bit of cross country, but not a lot.
Okay, all right. And where would you all play? Waveland or the country club, or where did you play in those days?
No, we play at Waveland. We play at over on the other side of town. I can't think of the name of it now anymore.
Oh.
It's been so long ago.
Blank Park.
We were both fortunate enough to belong to the Moines Golf and Country Club, and I got to play a lot there. And I enjoyed my time playing golf.
Good. Tell me a little bit about 6th Avenue and that corridor there. Was it vibrant, big houses? It certainly changed, but in those days, it looked like it was a fairly good neighborhood.
It was a nice neighborhood, yeah. And Dowling had a very wonderful campus, I thought. We had 3 buildings. One building where the priests stayed, then we had 2 buildings where we went to classes. A wonderful football stadium and a great basketball arena. I mean, for a high school, I thought it had a wonderful setup, and the neighborhood was very nice, very safe at that time. And it couldn't have been better. My folks insisted I go to a Catholic school, and Dowling was my great choice, and I couldn't have been happier.
You went to St. Augustine, is that right?
I started out at St. Augustine's until 6th grade, and then I went to St. John's. And I went to St. John's for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and graduated from St. John's.
I gotcha. My daughters and my son all graduated from St. Augustine, and now they're 2 of them are finished college, and my son's a senior at Dowling now. So.
Oh, well, great.
Yeah.
Well, I love going to St. Augustine's, and we were kind of shocked because they changed the districts where we lived. And they notified me just going into my 6th grade that I had to go to another school, so I went to St. John's.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience also.
Okay, well, I bet so. What lesson did you learn at Dowling that has helped you through your life?
Well, I think I tell you, first of all, I had great respect for the priests. And one priest I'd like to mention specifically is Father Frank Nugent. He had a lot of influence on my life, and I respected him a great deal, and he was good to me. He counseled me a lot. The priests were valuable friends to me, and Father Ring especially now. For example, I mentioned how he suggested Marquette, but he was very interested in how I would do and gave me great guidance. And I think I learned great study habits. I know when I went to Marquette, I was well prepared for college. I did fairly well in college. I was never honored for my grades. I got to be very honest with you, Tim. But I enjoyed my time at Marquette because I was so well prepared for it. It didn't shock me what I was going to face as far as study habits and keeping up with the other students. And I found as I compared myself to students from around the country at Marquette that Dowling had prepared me extremely well for my college days, and that was an honor.
Great. Let me go back to that car you had. I read somewhere, was it a 49 Chevy convertible?
It was a yellow 49 Chevy convertible. It was. I think it became the terror of Des Moines.
Madeline, would he pick you up in that car and take you out?
Oh, yes, he would. In fact, he would pick me up at St. Joseph's Academy. And I was a sophomore and he was a senior. And, this is a lot of years later. We're still on that date.
Oh, isn't that great? Tell me about St. Joseph Academy. The Grand Avenue is so much different now, and in fact, Des Moines University is leaving that part of town and coming out to West Des Moines soon. But what was Grand Avenue like back then? I'm sure it had developed almost out to 63rd Street by then, but it must have been a lot different than it is these days.
It was beautiful and very opulent. It had beautiful homes. We had the Christ Child home was not too far from there. Very nice apartments across the street, and it was a very nice setting. In the back, we had a grotto.
Yeah.
Down in the woods, and that was sort of a big deal to go down there. We had a very nice gym, and it was an honor to attend that school. It has served me well, and I'm just grateful that my parents sacrificed that I could go there, because at that time, for our family, it was expensive, and somehow they did it, and I went on to study at Drake and to become a nurse at Mercy Hospital.
Oh,
and
wow.
I credit St. Joe's Academy for my background. So I'm very grateful to that school.
Talk to me a little bit about the buildings and which buildings felt like home and inspired you.
Well, the thing that was interesting about that building is that we had a chapel, and the nuns' living quarters were a part of that building, so that when we would go to the chapel or the auditorium, we would gather and walk through the actual area where the nuns had their convent. And it was very warm and interesting to us. So there was the new part, and then there was the older part where actually the freshman and the sophomore had classrooms, and the newer parts of the building were juniors and seniors, and the gym. But the old part was so charming, and so the beautiful paintings, valuable, beautiful paintings, a lot of statues that were, I just always wonder what happened to all of that, because they were beautiful statues, and that we would all, be a part of as we would go into our chapel. And that chapel was very interesting and beautiful.
Was there a daily mass? Or do you remember?
I think that there might have been, and the auditorium. I guess it's the auditorium that when we would walk through the beautiful part of
yeah.
to go to the auditorium. But I'm not sure there was a daily mass. I would think we did have priests that taught there, so they may have said mass also.
Right, I see. And what parish did you grow up in?
Well, the first part of my life was at Christ the King, and then we changed, and I went to St. Ambrose. As Bob was saying, the districts were changed, and I went to St. Ambrose.
I see.
Grade school.
I gotcha. you mentioned the gym at St. Joseph's. Tell me about the athletics there. They were mostly intramural or exclusively so,
yes.
right?
Yeah, they were intramural, and I was on the basketball team. And ugly little yellow outfits that we wore, and then we all, each grade had a different color outfit. And I know ours was yellow, there was blue, and I think there was a maroon. Just a riot when you think back upon how we. You're so modest, very, very like Bermuda shorts, and then just a real tailored top, and it was all one piece, and it was a riot. But it was fun. We had a good time, and nice. I thought a nice little gym. So.
Oh, that's nice. As an alumni, how did you take the news that the schools would merge and that the St. Joseph name wouldn't go on any further?
Well, I mean, it's obviously what we have to move on, and the school, of course, is a better facility, and it does make sense to have it all together. But yes, I felt sad about it, and yet very understandable. And I think it has served Des Moines well, and it was the right move. But it was a nostalgic feeling when it happened.
I bet you all had reached Green Bay by the time the schools merged, hadn't you? Yes.
Yes, we had.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Did you have siblings go to St. Joseph or Dowling?
Yes, my older sister, she was 3 years older, and she graduated from St. Joseph's, and my two brothers graduated from Dowling.
Gotcha. And Bob, did you have siblings?
No, I did not. I was an only child.
Oh, God, that's right. Oh, I think I knew that. Yeah, I saw a quote somewhere that said, your parents held you to high standards, and quite frankly, you were afraid to mess up.
I truly was. One thing I'd like to point out to you too, Ted, is while I was at Dowling, I had the great opportunity to work for the Aquin newspaper, and I don't know if they still have that paper or not, and I think we came out like once a month. But as I said earlier, I wanted to be a sports writer, and that kind of got me started to work on that Aquin. And that helped me a great deal before I went to Marquette, too, because it kind of prepared me for the newspaper business. And I was just so intent on becoming a sports writer that I loved that experience working on the Aquin.
Did talk a little bit more about how it helped you giving out information, and did it prepare you for the questions you would get, whether it was at Marquette or later in St. Louis or Green Bay?
Yeah, it prepared me for the questions I would get and also the questions I could ask. It just kind of guided me on what I needed to do to become a reporter and so forth.
Right.
And a combination of working down at the Register and Tribune during the summer and then working on the Aquin during the school year was very, very, very beneficial to me. And I was fortunate enough when I went to Marquette, I got to work on the Marquette newspaper for 4 years and became the sports editor my senior year. And that really led to my first job working at Marquette University.
Wow. What were your duties at the Register and Tribune during the summer?
Well, I started out answering phones at the sports department, answering questions from people who called in. And then as time went along, they let me work on the rim of the desk, the copy desk. They were called the gentleman who would sit in the middle of the desk was in the slot, and the people on the outside of the desk were on the rim. And I would edit copy and write headlines and so forth.
Good gosh.
And I got to work with some, names that people probably don't remember very well, but Burt McGrain and Maury White and Bill Bryson and Sec Taylor.
Sure.
People who I admired a great deal. And I really thought the Register Tribune was as good a sports page as any in the country, and I really wanted to go back there and work, and just never really got that opportunity. But as it turns out, it was great training for me. My first job at Marquette, when I was hired right out of school, was to be the sports information director. And I did that for 6 years, and that was basically to do the same kind of things I started learning at Marquette and at Dowling. So everything I learned along the way really benefited me wonderfully.
Oh, that's a great story. Writing for the Aquin, you didn't have a lot of football success to write about in those days. Is that true?
Well, we really did. We had some very good basketball teams to write about.
Oh, did you? Right.
Some excellent teams, yeah. We never quite got to the state, but we were always very representative. And I've always marveled at how good Dowling has become in football when we were so inept when I was there. But, we didn't have a lot of good things to write about, but I just treasured the opportunity, frankly, to sit in the stands and cover a game and then just write about it. And just a great honor for me because I was doing exactly what I wanted to do in life. And it was just very, very helpful to me.
That's great. I was fortunate enough to be a sports writer at the start of my career, and it was what I had always wanted to do. And there were many times when I thought, boy, climbing the ladder is exciting and it helps you financially, but boy, being a sports writer, there wasn't much better than that, I tell you.
Totally agree. I loved it, and I would get up every morning. First thing I'd do is read the Register and Tribune sports page. I just loved to devour those sports stories. And I just learned so much by working with those gentlemen down there. Sure. And it was just a great experience for me all around, Ted.
Bert McGrain, in fact, he had an award named after him from the Pro Football Writers, didn't he?
Yes, and his son Bill was a senior when I was a freshman at Marquette, and I got to know Bill very well because he worked for the Chicago Bears when I was working for the Packers.
Oh, isn't that great? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Listen, I want to thank you both for taking a little time here to remember and reflect. I know you guys probably have requests to talk to folks because of all of your great success in Green Bay. But Dowling appreciates you, and I want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, and I'd like to say we appreciate Dowling and St. Joe's Academy for what they did for us because they really gave us the basics both in life and education to start out careers for both of us, and they were very, very beneficial.